How's it going, knife fanatics? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video, guys, I just want to go over some of my knife collection. I haven't really made a video where I show a bunch of knives all together in one video, so I figured that'd be kind of fun to do. We'll do that, look at some of a small part of my knife collection and the budget cheap part of my knife collection on top of that. What I personally look for, I love case knives, same as pretty much anybody that loves knives loves case knives, but if you're like me and you're on a budget, I know a lot of people are, case is just, it can be hard. You know, you really gotta save and pinch pennies, especially to get the nicer older ones. You're gonna pay a premium. So I generally don't go out looking for those. If I come across a good deal, great. But I want to show you the part of my collection that if I'm out knife hunting, looking for something to buy, the knives that I'm looking for, the brands that I'm looking for, and I think it's a great bang for your buck, and you just can't beat these knives. You really can't in the knife world. So hope you guys enjoy this video. Appreciate you watching, and let's show you these knives. All right, guys, we're back inside. I got some of my knives laid out in my collection I wanted to talk about with you guys and show you guys today. And here they are. And I'm sure anybody that's familiar with knives at all can just tell by looking. You already know what they are. You already know what kind they are, what brand, and you probably already know what I'm going to say. But in case there's some new person comes across this that's never really been around the knife community growing up, maybe their parents or grandpa or whatever. Usually most of us get into knives from our grandpa and our dad, right? I know I did. You know, maybe they didn't have that. Maybe they weren't exposed to that. Maybe they're curious about it and they don't know where to get started. And so that's what I'm going to kind of talk about. And I think these knives right here are the best all around bang for your buck knives that you can invest in, whether you're new and you're just wanting to start getting a collection of knives, or if you've been collecting forever and you just don't want to pay an arm and a leg or, you know, premium price for a 60s, 70s case, right? Because those pull some money. Even though they're great knives, I'm not knocking case. I love case. I've got some case knives. You guys have seen them on the channel. But say I just don't have the budget to go out and buy and actively collect those and buy those. I just don't. You know, some people do. That's great. A lot of people are kind of in my situation where they don't really have that much spare money on hand to throw at a knife. And these right here, I think, is the perfect option for quality, old slip joints, American made. They'll last forever. And I've used these ain't Safe Queens. You know, I've carried these knives. I've used these knives for years. My grandpa, actually, this is an Imperial Barlow of his. I mean, he carried this thing all the time, and that thing is still in great shape. So there's nothing lacking about the quality on the old Imperial, Colonial, and Schrade knives. You know, Imperial Schrade. You just can't beat them, in my opinion. They're one of the best all-around investment knives for a collection. They just are. They're good quality. They're cheap, and I love them. So anyway, let's talk about some more of these knives, individual knives, kind of the stories behind them and how I got them. So I guess we'll just start with this one right here, because this one is one of my absolute favorite knives. I did do a short YouTube video on this knife, showing this knife off months ago, and on TikTok. If you haven't seen that, go look at the shorts. But I absolutely love this knife. The story behind this knife, I was a kid. Me and my dad was in a flea market in, I want to say it was Berea, Kentucky. I'm pretty sure it was Berea. I don't even think that flea market's there now. I was looking last time I was down there where I kind of remembered where it was, and I don't think it's there. But, you know, my dad, he didn't have much money, spare money around, so I never really, you know, when we went out shopping around at flea markets or whatever, a lot of times we was just something to do. You know, he'd get me on the weekends. We wanted to go do something, and I always, since a kid, I've loved flea markets. I loved old stuff. He did too. So we'd go walk around, look at stuff in the flea market, and you know, I never, like I said, I knew we didn't have that much money, so I never went expecting to buy something or begging my dad to buy me something, nothing like that. You know, I understood, you know, that we was on a tight budget and didn't have a lot of money to throw around. And so we was just walking around, and I was looking at some of the display cases and stuff, had knives and stuff in them, probably some old Hot Wheels cars or something I was looking at. And he just randomly said, son, if you see something in there that you really want, let me know. You know, say something and I'll try to get it. And so I was excited, you know, immediately I was all excited looking around, and this knife had caught my eye literally a few minutes before he said that. I was looking at this knife. I loved the Boy Scout logo. I loved the color of the handles on this thing. I just wanted it. And so I told him, I was like, well, I was kind of looking at this little pocket knife right here. And he's like, well, how much is it? And I can't remember now for sure how much it was, but it wasn't much. I mean, it was like at the most $12 or something, which is a screaming deal. Even now today for sure is a screaming deal. These knives I've seen on eBay for 45, 50 bucks in as good a shape as this one. So this is an Imperial Boy Scout knife, camp knife. It's got the bail there. I love the bails. Is anybody else out there like me? I just love bails on knives. I don't know why, but I do. Camp knife is one of my favorite patterns. Here's the tang stamp on it. Imperial Providence, USA. So it's an older one from that tang stamp. 1946 to 1956 tang stamp. So it's an older one. Great knife. Absolutely love this knife. Like I say, I was a kid when I got this knife, and I carried it. You know, as a kid, I wasn't thinking about, you know, it being an old knife and, you know, the values and the way stuff goes. You know, I was a kid, but so I carried it with me everywhere, every day, all the time, fishing, running through the woods, doing whatever with it. I mean, I use this thing, and you can see it is still in great shape. You know, I didn't abuse it, obviously, because it's in great shape, but I did use it. I mean, I used it all the time, like I say, fishing, playing out in the woods, building forts, traps, whatever. I need to do a cleanup video on this knife here soon. We'll do that. Clean this thing up, give it some love. It is definitely one of my all-time favorites. Not just from the knife that it is. I do, you know, say the camp pattern is one of my favorites. I love the color of these handles. I love everything about this knife, but obviously the sentimental value of my dad buying it for me, like I said that day at the flea market, I'll never forget it. This knife means the world to me. Love this thing. But I think it's a great example of how you can get, if you go out and look around, you can find awesome quality USA made classic Imperials like this for not much money. Now nowadays you're probably not going to find this knife for, you know, around, I think it was around 12 bucks. It wasn't no more than that. But even still, if you come across one of these for 20, 25 bucks, I mean, that is a steal. Like I say, on eBay, you know, the people on eBay, that's one of my gripes with eBay. I guess I should talk about that. It was kind of on my mind too, making this video. You know, the eBay knife crowd, and I'm not knocking anybody, but you know, if you're going to go on there, you know, these people have went out and done the legwork for you, right? So they've already went through the flea markets and the estate sales and the auctions. They've put their time and effort and money into getting inventory. So obviously, you know, there's going to be a markup. You're going to pay a premium online for this kind of stuff. These knives, guys, they're out there. There's all kinds of them. Go out and look for them. Don't shop on eBay and whatnot. Go out there, drive around places you've never been, Stop in little antique shops, pawn shops, thrift stores. Shoot, just at the local store, if there's a place, local hangout where older men, you know, tend to gather and drink coffee in the mornings. You know, some of those places are still around. They're around here. And just strike up a conversation with them about knives. I guarantee you, one or all of them is going to be a knife head, a knife collector, and can turn you on to spots to go, or maybe they'll have some stuff they're willing to wheel and deal and trade with you. You know, that's the knife hobby is huge. It always has been. It ain't going anywhere. There's people out there, guys. You just got to go out and meet people, look around and shop, and you will come across some great deals, especially on these type knives. Imperial, Colonial, Craftsman, Old Timer, Schrade, which, you know, Old Timer, Schrade, Imperial was, you know, all the same company, Hammer brand. So anyway, that was a little bit about that knife. We'll go on, start moving on here. I'm making this video too long probably. But this one right here, you guys, if anyone's been watching the channel, probably just recently seen this. I did a cleanup video on this. I just found this right down the street from me in a gas station parking lot. They have a little area where they let people set up like a little flea market thing in the grass there, like yard sales, anybody wants to set up. And the guy had this. He had $5 on it. And this is a Colonial USA. Like I say, this has been lately my everyday carry, so it's getting dirty again. I use it all the time here on the farm. It's been a great one. But Colonial USA, it's their version of like a Swiss Army knife. He had $5 on it, and I seen it was missing the corkscrew. The corkscrew's broke. But all the rest of the blades, I mean, I ain't worried about a corkscrew. The main blade, as you've seen, is in excellent shape. It's not whittled down, it's not marked up, it's in great shape. Screwdriver, bottle opener's in great shape, can opener's in great shape. The punch blade there, it's in great shape. So, you know, that's, even at $5 to me, with the corkscrew being gone, so what, was a great deal. But I just threw it out there. I said, well, man, the corkscrew's missing. Would you be willing to take $3 for it? He said, man, take it, you know. So $3 for a Colonial USA made pocket knife. Great everyday carry work knife. It's in great shape. It's a good looking knife. I mean, I just don't know any other brand out there in the knife world that's vintage, old school, USA made, that you're going to get that kind of value for that kind of price. You're just not going to. You just can't beat these type of knives. I say my collection, if I'm going out looking to buy a knife for my collection, it's something like this, guys. It's going to be Colonial, Imperial, Old Timer, Schrade, Hammer brand. And there's others. Y'all can comment some other good budget vintage brands, but these are my go-tos. Love it. You just can't beat that. And then this one here, I found this at a flea market across the river from me in Indiana for $10. A Colonial fish knife. Now, how you are not going to get a large fish knife, USA made, in good shape, blades not whittled down, for $10. You're just not going to do it. You cannot beat that, guys. Can't beat it. It's got a little, I don't know, yellow paint or something, or the black's flaking off. I couldn't get that to come off. I did clean up on this too. Like I say, I use my knives. I carry them in my rotation all the time, and they don't just sit in my pocket. Here on the farm, I'm using them. You know, I'm cutting hay strings, or working on fences, or going fishing, or doing whatever with the horses, cutting stuff up, leather. So I use them. You know, they'll get dirty again after I cleaned them up. I need to do a little quick touch up on this one, wipe it down good. I just took this one out of rotation when I got that one, started carrying that one. So, but yeah, I absolutely love this knife. The fish knife is one of my favorite patterns. I love them, absolutely love them. And like I say, for the value of the quality, you cannot beat a $10 vintage USA made knife in that kind of shape. You just can't do it. And this one here, it's another fish knife. And this one is Imperial USA. Got the old school yellow handles. Now, a lot of people don't like the yellow handles, plastic yellow, but I like them. I don't know, something about it. That vintage yellow color has just always appealed to me. I kind of like it. It's not really pretty necessarily. It's just, I don't know, it's just old school. You look at it, you know it's older. I don't know, I just like it. I'd like to have one of these in the red too, to go with the yellow. That would be cool. But say this one here is another deal. I found this at a flea market, and actually, let's see, on that day it was this knife, this knife, this knife, and these three knives here, all Imperials. They were in a big box at a flea market. There was a ton of them. They were like $3 a piece. And I was a kid. It was me, my dad, and my brother. Me, my stepdad, my brother, actually. We're all there looking around at this flea market, and we come across this box, and he recognized immediately, well, you can't buy no knife for $3. So we grabbed these. That's all the money we had on. He had on him at the time. But he told the lady at the front desk we was going to go home and get more money and come back and we was going to try to buy the whole box. I mean, it was just too cheap. There was all kinds of them. There was a box of them. And so we went home and got the money. He went home and got money out of the bank. And before we could get back up there, the lady at the cashier at the desk had called her husband. I guess he was a big knife collector, and told him that, you know, because she didn't really know about knives. She just knew that we was excited about them. That's what you get for talking to people, right? But so she called her husband up and told him there was a good deal on knives in here, a box of knives. And he bought the whole box and went home with it before we could even get back up there. And we was only like 15 minutes down the road, so we missed out on that. But we got, like I said, we scored these three and these three out of there. I say they were all like $3 a piece, and that is just an amazing price. You cannot beat that. There's the other fish knife. This is the one I liked. My brother liked the yellow one. This is actually his knife. He wanted the yellow one, and I wanted this one. Now this one has went on countless fishing adventures with me too, but the handles, it didn't used to look like this. It's got faded. That white's faded. It had like a I don't know, like a silverish, purplish color to it. It was a really cool color. It's just sun faded now and turned white. Y'all probably know what I'm talking about. If you've got some old Imperials in your collection, you've probably seen that handle color. But say I've used the crap out of this one. Handle's actually getting a little loose on this one. But I used it and used it. Took it fishing with me all the time. It's held up great. It's still in good shape. For $3, you can't beat that. On here, like I said, I mentioned that a while ago, that was my grandpa's knife. He carried that thing all the time. Imperial USA, Barlow, in great shape. So I didn't necessarily get a good buy on that one. That one was inherited, so I guess that one don't count, but still, it's part of my Imperial collection. Great knife. There's another yellow one. Like I said, we got out of that box. And that one right there is one of my favorites. We got that day out of that $3 box. I love the blue in that knife. Imperial had some awesome handle designs and colors. And they're cheap, you know, and they were cheap back then. They weren't made to last forever, but they were intended to last forever, I should say, but stuff was just more quality back then. Even cheap stuff competes with our quality stuff nowadays. It's just unfortunate, but true. I really love the scales on that one too. I need to do a cleanup video on this one, get this one shined up a little bit. This is an awesome looking knife. Imperial. Tank stamp on that one. Imperial USA, stainless. Love the handles. That's what's awesome about collecting Imperials and the Hammer brands. Their handles are just so cool. And they're not, like I said, they're not bone or nothing. They're just cheap plastic. some of them celluloid, just, you know, cheap stuff, but they just look cool and they hold up. Now obviously you got to be careful with celluloid, but I'm just saying in general, they look awesome. And this one here, this is the next brand I'm always on the hunt for. I love them, can't get enough of them. I don't know if it'll pick that tang stamp up. That is a Craftsman USA. Love the gold Craftsman knives. I don't know why, I just do. Something about it, probably because this one right here that we'll talk about is Craftsman, is my grandpa's. I got so many memories of him sitting around on the porch using that one. It's probably, and that, remember seeing that shield, the Sears Craftsman, it's probably what got my love affair started with Craftsman knives. But I love these. I came across this at a little yard sale for $5. It was in rough shape. That blade has been reprofiled. You can tell it's not full. Its tip's been broke or something. It sticks up a little bit. And it was so stiff and rusty I couldn't hardly get it open. But I cleaned it up. And it works great now for $5. It's sharp as a razor. And this little knife actually is my most viewed short, or short form content on TikTok. This thing almost went viral for cutting open a feed bag. So if you guys haven't seen that video, go over to my TikTok and check that out. That was funny. People got on there arguing about old knives versus new knives, old steel versus new steel, and the algorithm just took off with that knife. It was funny. Love that little knife. It's missing the shield, but this is a great work knife. I love a little small knife like that. It's not getting tangled up in your pockets all the time. It's good enough to cut weed eater string or hay string, let's say feed sacks open. Love that knife. For $5, I'll buy that for $5 all day long. Awesome American made old knife. And this one here, the Stockman, is my grandpa's. Like I said, I've made videos on this one too, shorts. Love this knife. I don't use it much just because it was his and I want it to stay, not get any worse in condition. He used it all the time. It's got, I don't know if it'll show up, it's got scratches in the handles, and it's been used. It ain't new or nothing, but it's still in great shape. All the blades are in great shape. Need to do a good cleanup video on this one here pretty soon. Spade blade there. I love a good Stockman. Love that knife. I love that synthetic cream handles on that. And this one here, Old Timer, say another great bang for your buck knife. Old Timers do hold their value a little more than like the Colonials and Imperials, but you can still find these cheap. I literally just found this exact knife at a pawn shop in Lexington a few days ago for $14. And I didn't ask about it because I've already got this one. This was my grandpa's, but it was the same size, same knife, USA tang stamp. And if you'd offered him 10, he'd have probably took it, honestly. I mean, you can get great deals on these Old Timers. Always on the lookout for these when I'm out hunting for knives. I need to, as you can see, clean this one up. Hey, my grandpa used this one a lot too. Great knife. I'll do a cleanup video on that soon, so you guys be on the lookout for that. And then I just did a little short on this one the other day. This was also one my grandpa carried for a little while, and he actually gave it to my dad when I was a kid. It's a Master Mechanic, 80s through the 90s. See that? Master Mechanic USA, made by Schrade. It's basically an old timer. Master Mechanic was made for the True Value Hardware Company. It was sold in their hardware stores. Awesome little knives. Of course, they're made by Schrade, so awesome quality, just like an old timer. It's the same thing. Can't beat them. Always on the lookout for them too. And it's just a great bang for your buck. So anyway, guys, that's kind of my rambling thoughts on budget knives, budget knife collecting, the best brands out there for beginner people that just want to get a knife collection going. Young people don't have a lot of money. And for people that's been doing it their whole life and you just love a good value on a classic American-made knife, and I think that's what these are. You cannot go wrong with a Colonial, Imperial Serrade, Old Timer. I just don't see how you can beat them, guys. I would rather find these for $5 to all the way up to $25 than try to buy $200 cases any day. That's just me. You guys comment your thoughts. What do you think about it? I'd love to hear it. Like, comment, subscribe. Hope you guys liked it, and I'll catch you on the next one.